Hey everyone, I don't think anyone is holding out any illusions at this point. We all clearly remember the absolute embarrassment and total failure that One Punch Man Season 3 turned out to be. In this video, we're going to break down the exact reasons behind this disaster in full detail, examine every single flaw, and speculate on whether there's any future left for this anime, or if the project is officially dead. First, I think we should immediately clarify one crucial point. Where did this decline actually start? Most average viewers obviously think everything went downhill, specifically with Season 3. They saw the terrible slideshows, were horrified, and assumed that everything had been fine before that. But unfortunately, that's not the case at all. We were already seeing the first warning signs and the clear drop in quality back in Season 2. Back then, even someone who knows nothing about animation and just watches shows in the background while eating could tell. Something had fundamentally changed. But what exactly? The first and most glaring issue was the character proportions. They literally started fluctuating right between shots within the very same scene. Just think about that for a second. And those kinds of mishaps were everywhere. Characters' faces kept breaking, body proportions had a life of their own, and dynamic anatomy was completely thrown out the window. The second massive problem was the color grading. Specifically, the ridiculously oversaturated, neon, eye-searing colors. It felt like a kid sitting at the studio opened the video editor for the first time and thought, oh, if I crank the saturation and contrast sliders to max, the visuals will look super expensive and rich. Right, so rich that your eyes start watering after 5 minutes of watching. They also decided not to bother with textures at all, grabbing the first default presets they could find. Because of this, Genos ended up looking not like a high-tech cyborg from the future, but like a guy who was hurriedly wrapped in cheap aluminum foil from a budget supermarket. Either way, you could still somehow turn a blind eye to all those Season 2 flaws. Sure, it got worse than Madhouse, but it was still watchable. However, if we take the next one, Season 3, you can safely multiply all those problems by 3. On top of the existing garbage, we got brand new genius decisions. For instance, those gross, utterly out-of-place neon effects slapped everywhere, whether they belonged or not. Combat dynamics were completely destroyed. Instead of proper animation, we were shown static images simply being dragged across the screen. In some moments, the studio didn't even hesitate to literally cut panels out of the manga, insert them as is, and pretend it was a stylish artistic choice. Are you serious? You just colored manga pages and made us watch a slideshow. But you've probably heard all this whining about the visuals from every corner already. That's why I'd like to talk about the real root causes behind such a disrespectful and frankly insulting attitude toward the audience. The main reason for this drop in quality is, naturally, the change in studios and the arrival of JC staff. If you look into the kind of titles the studio usually produces, everything immediately falls into place. What's in their portfolio? Slice-of-life shows, rom-coms, and generic background anime to throw on with a drink for an evening. JC staff was simply not equipped for a project with such insane dynamics, combat choreography, and detail. They are technically incapable of even coming close to the bar set by Madhouse in Season 1. Even worse, the studio simply ran out of time. They were saddled with a project under brutal deadlines. It got to the point where they were finishing the final episodes of Season 2, literally a couple of days before they aired on TV. Can you imagine that level of chaos and production hell? Naturally, under such conditions, there's no way to talk about quality. The only task was to throw together any footage just to fill the broadcast slot. So here's the main question. What's in store for One Punch Man moving forward? If we look at things realistically and without rose-colored glasses, there is zero indication of any positive changes. In case you didn't know, a Part 2 of Season 3 is also coming out, and it will be made by that exact same ill-fated studio, JC staff. See? Nobody is planning to change anything. As long as the show pulls in ratings and views, the producers will keep feeding us this low-effort slop. Why spend millions of dollars and bring in top-tier animators if you can slap together a slideshow on your knee and people will watch it anyway? Though, to be fair, the community is at least trying to move in the right direction now. There were actual attempts to boycott Season 3, tank the ratings, and show the sponsors that we aren't ready to swallow just anything. Unfortunately, there are always certain individuals who ruin it. The studio released just one semi-watchable episode for the entire season, where the frames actually changed more often than once every 3 seconds, and those geniuses immediately ran off to My Anime List to drop a 10 out of 10. Wow, turns out action scenes in anime can actually be animated. What a breakthrough. And just like that, the entire boycott gets flushed down the drain because of such unprecedented generosity. What can we even do in a situation like this? Let's be real, The OnePunchMan anime itself can hardly be saved at this point. The project is stuck in production hell, and the rights are in the wrong hands. But the entire anime community needs to unite right now and keep up a strict boycott of this content. Only if the ratings drop to rock bottom and views collapse to zero is there even a slim chance. Maybe in the future, when other studios are offered another hopeless contract with tight deadlines by greedy sponsors, they'll look at the example of OnePunchMan, see the reputational damage, and ask themselves, is this actually worth it? That's all from me. Let me know in the comments what you think about this circus. Bye!